at that smile. Good morning. You ready for breakfast? You hungry? Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the homestead. Last week was incredibly cold. We got more snow and ice, and this week it was looking really nice. The snow is melting off and it's supposed to be pretty warm and sunny this week. So this is the time of year where my mind really starts to get going on how can we solve all the problems in our lives. In the wintertime, there's just not a whole lot that you can do outside here in Zone 6, Missouri. But in the spring is one of the best times to really get going on things. And I'm the type of person that have just really always enjoyed problem solving. I love to find ways to make things better. And so anyway, our video today is just going to share a few of our problems on the homestead and kind of our approach to figure out how to prioritize them and how to tackle them. But before I get to that, I accidentally left the covers off of our seedlings here in the greenhouse last night. I believe it got down to about 25-ish degrees Fahrenheit. So when I got up early this morning, I put the covers back on and I'm gonna check them now to see if they survived. I'm hoping and praying that they're okay. Oh, yay. It looks like they've all recovered. The topsoil especially right there was almost frozen solid this morning, but it looks like it has bounced back. Hooray! And then we got all these shells over here I'm going to check as well. Looks like the little lettuces are doing okay, but a bit dry, so I'm going to water those. Over here, more lettuce. Looking okay. These over here have not been up potted yet, so I've got to do that at some point. And these are beets that have not sprouted yet. I'm trying soil blocks for the first time ever. Nothing has sprouted in here yet. This is kohlrabi. Looks like all the onions are okay. I always seem to plant too much lettuce. All of these little up potted plants came out of just that one little corner of this variety, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 varieties. So I have hundreds of lettuce plants and do not have enough space in the garden for all of that lettuce, but I did want to try a bunch of different varieties this year, so it's exciting to have so much lettuce and have some new varieties that I'm able to work with this year. So overall, it looks like everything is okay. I'm so thankful. I don't have any concern for these seedlings this time of year when I've got the covers on, but leaving the covers off and having to get so cold, I was a bit concerned there. So I'm really happy that they're all okay. I'm gonna finish taking off these covers and then I'll share with you some of the problems we're gonna be tackling here on the homestead very soon. Alright, so all the covers are off and I went ahead and watered everything as well because it was looking a little dry. I'm hoping to get back out here later today to do some more seed starting, probably with some more soil blocks. Last spring we were gifted a couple of these soil blocking tools, and I'm really excited to be putting those to use this year for the first time. Just another way to kind of do things more sustainably on the homestead. We do have plenty of pots and containers over here, but they don't last forever. They do end up cracking. Here's one here that's all cracked up. So we'll use them as long as we can, but eventually I hope to mostly just use the soil blocks and get away from the plastics. Alright, so a few days ago I decided to just make a big old list of all the problems off the top of my head on our home and homestead. I think I came up with about 40 different things, which sounds like a lot. And you would think that over the years of homesteading, hopefully the problems will become less and less as we learn more and more, which we hope to be the case one of these days. But I think the reason that we've had such a pileup of issues is mostly because of Kip having to be off the homestead full-time for almost 6 years now. So the children and I have done as much as we can, and we've learned a lot, but now we're at a place where our 3 older children are really skilled, really capable. They've learned a lot, and there's some areas now that they're ready to learn from Kip and we're hoping that Kip's time is going to be freed up here more and more in the months ahead. More on that later. Anyway, we're really looking forward to tackling some problems now, and so I'm not going to share all 40 problems with you, but I did want to just focus on what we do to know where to start and how do we determine what's the most important thing to start with or to tackle. We kind of ask ourselves 3 questions with each problem that we're looking at. Number 1, is it something that is needed to sustain life? That's kind of the most important thing, and if yes, it is needed to sustain life, then we go on to number 2, and that question is the problem causing any kind of damage or destruction? And if it is, then we go on to number 3 and ask ourselves, okay, is this problem causing significant stress in our lives? If the answer to all 3 of those questions is yes, a resounding yes, then it is, we star it, circle it, it's called a number 1 priority, and then we just go through each problem one thing at a time and determine, is it a 1? Because it answers yes to all those questions. Is it a 2? Because maybe it answers yes to 2 of those questions, or is it a 3? Meaning maybe it just like causes us some stress, but it's okay, we can handle it a little longer. So now I'm gonna kind of walk around with you and give you some examples of what these problems are, and hopefully just share a little bit of how we're going to fix those problems. All right, so here is a number 1 problem. This is our rainwater catchment cleanout system, and unfortunately we forgot to open the valve on this before a hard freeze. The whole thing filled up with water, and yeah, it cracked. So not good. This is something that's important for sustaining life because it's a system that needs to be in place so that we have water, and it's also important because when it's not working, it drains into our root cellar, and we actually had about 2 feet of water in our root cellar. We need food for survival, and so it was a yes to number 1 question. This is a problem that relates to our survival. Number 2, it was a yes because it caused damage in our root cellar, and we don't want to continue to flood our root cellar. We want to be able to use it. And then number 3, it is a stressor. It's a problem. It's something that if we run out of water here, it's a whole lot of extra work to have to use our well to fill our tank. Catching the rainwater is so passive and so easy. So this is a number 1 problem that's going to be hopefully fixed this coming week if all goes well. And it's something that's going to teach our boys a new skill because none of them really have plumbing experience yet. And so this is going to give the boys experience with a little bit of plumbing and help them to better understand how to set up rainwater catchment for their own homes someday. You girls having fun?
Yeah! Yeah!
Gonna head down the driveway here to show you another problem that actually our boys have already begun working on. Hi Dandy girl! This is our milking cow here. She's a Dexter Jersey cross named Dandy. And over there is her 2.5-week-old heifer calf named Star. And our problem was that she needs to be separated from our 2 bulls. We don't want her getting bred this time of year because then she'll end up calving in the dead of winter, and we've almost lost calves that way. So this was a problem that we could say yes to question number 1. It relates to sustaining life. We don't want to have a calf born when it's incredibly cold. It's also part of getting a system set up for milking, and so that's, you know, food for us. Yeah, we could say yes to number 2 as well because we don't want to endanger Dandy in any way. We want her to have a break from getting bred back so quickly. She's already had 3 calves back to back to back. So for her health, we want to separate her from the bulls and make sure she doesn't get bred at the wrong time. And then also, it would just be a stress. Having to constantly be watching her to see if she's in heat and get her away from the bulls in time. That would be so stressful. So she's in her own paddock now, And we're going to be setting up a system where we can separate the calf so that we can start milking her, and it is just temporary. There's not going to be enough grass in this paddock for her, so we're going to have to still feed her hay. The bigger solution for this whole problem is to have a milking barn. So we're working on seeing if we can make that happen as well, and then we're going to be paddocking off our pasture just to make it easier to separate the bulls from the cows this time of year when we don't want them getting bred. So the boys have already got water set up for her down here. And then I think we're going to be building off of the chicken coop structure over there to create a little space to separate Star and make sure she has cover for when we're ready to start milking Dandy. Hopefully pretty soon here. Here's another water here that's low enough for the calf to be able to get water to, because she can't reach the other one, it's too high. So walking back here, this is an example of a problem that is a number 3 at this point. Mucky driveway. We need to get new gravel on our driveway. It's very muddy, mucky. There's still geese and roosters that poop all over it. So although we'd love to make that a number 1, it's not threatening life in any way or causing any kind of danger other than maybe it's a slip hazard. It is a bit of a stressor though, so it's on the list but not at the top of the list yet. Alright, now I'm out by the kids play area. This is another problem. We put white vinyl down intending to put pea gravel on top of it, and it just continues to blow all over the place and it's just a general mess. However, it's not something that is required for us to live. It's not causing any kind of danger. It is causing some stress because of just how messy it is. So it is on the list, but it's a number 3 right now. So I've given you 2 examples of number 1s, 2 examples of number 3s. I'm gonna see if I can find some number 2s. There's one right here. We need more compost. We've got a bunch of topsoil and plans for building an entire main crop area right where I'm standing. So yes, it's needed. Food is needed to sustain our life and we need more growing space. But not having compost does not cause any danger to anyone. However, it does give a little stress to me because I'm the main planner for the garden and for all the food that we produce. So I'm starting to get a little bit stressed about knowing how much we really need to produce for our family and knowing that we don't have the compost we need yet. We're working on it though. So it is a number 2 on our list. And we've got some different ideas for how to try and produce a large quantity quickly if we can get the use of a tractor. So it's just kind of depend on what happens in the next month or so. And just a quick update on the Berkeley compost heap here behind me. I ended up going ahead and turning it since we built it just one time in hopes to get some of the frozen cow manure mixed around better in there. And I've checked it since, and the temperature has gone up a little, but not enough to really start the rotation of turning it regularly. So I'm probably going to take the cover off because we've got a sunny week ahead with no rain. So probably going to take the cover off, and then maybe by the middle or end of this week we'll be able to start turning that pile. Possibly make some more piles. We'll see if the time allows for that. Hey geesies, what are you doing in our construction zone? Sorry, don't mean to scare you away. Checking out the compost center. So we've got about 3 geese sitting right now on nests. These ones are some of the ones that are still cruising around. But that always presents another problem to us in the spring. Once the goslings get to be about a week or 2 old, maybe a little bit older, they actually start to really wander. And we've had them wander onto neighbors' properties before and into dangerous areas. So we have to figure out a way to confine them every year. It's always a challenge. Where do we put the goslings? Where do we put the geese? So that's a number 2 right now, just simply because we've got a little bit of time still. About the mamas pretty much just started sitting, so we've got a few weeks of them sitting on their nests, and then a week or two of them being just really small. Usually the first week or two they're so little that they just stay right close to their parents. But as they get a little older, they really just want to take off and have adventures, and their parents just follow them wherever they go. So that's another example of a number 2 on our list, mainly just because of the timing of things. Sometimes there might not be a clear answer to those 3 questions to ask. Is it needed to sustain life? Is it causing any kind of damage or destruction? Is it a stressor? You may just have to look at the problem from a different perspective of, you know what, this just has to be done. And then of course timing is really important. Some projects need certain weather in order to get done. Some projects need certain skilled laborers to be hired to get done. Some projects we could do ourselves, but we just need the time, we need the finances. All right, back in the greenhouse. It's so warm in here now. It's just about noon and it feels like it's 80 in here. It's so warm. So that was just a few examples of how we kind of prioritize the problems on the homestead in our lives. We've got some really exciting things we're hoping to get to soon, like building a cover for a blacksmithing area for Caleb, and he's hoping to get back to his blacksmithing. He's got a new forge and blower. His old forge had broken, so he's excited to get going on that again. We kind of changed our plans around for a barn, and we're kind of thinking of just trying to build a small milking area to begin with, and then build a bigger barn separate from that for hay storage later on, because milking is the priority right now. We've got some more cement work that we're hoping to be able to put in, which is always exciting for me because of the problem weeds here in Missouri. We have many places still where the weeds just overtake our pathways, overtake our lives here in our zone 1 around our house. So we're going to be hopefully putting in at least a few more cement pathways coming up soon. And just many other things, some little things, some big things, but it feels good to kind of have everything prioritized now. So overall, I'm hoping that today's video just inspires you to maybe write down some of the things that have been stressing you out or that are problems that need to be tackled. And remember that problems are an opportunity. They're an opportunity to make something better, and that's a blessing. That's something to be excited about. And no matter how big or small the problem is, it matters. Hopefully sharing the way we prioritize our problems has encouraged you in some way today, and also just share the reality of our life. Even though we've been homesteading for years, we still have problems. We're still working through things. We're still learning new things every day, and that's the joy of the journey. So thank you so much for joining us on our journey today. Thank you to our patrons who help make these videos possible. We appreciate you so much more than you know. Thank you for the comments. And hey, if you have a problem that you are tackling in your life, share it in the comments below. We'd love to hear some inspiration of what you're doing in your life to make things better. So until next time, we pray blessings over you and yours. And whatever you do, do it with your whole heart.